All right. This is it. It's going down. I'm just going to wait for a few people to come on. They normally start trickling in right at 10 o'clock. And then I'll start my typical introductions, and we'll get into this, okay? So let me share the link if anybody wants to.
Turn it over.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday. Today is May 15th of 2021. Almost coming up to your birthday, Heath. We're close. May 15th of 2021. And I'm really excited about this week. So for those of you who are tuning in or watching for the first time or are going to be watching this for the first time later on as it's recorded, my name is Param. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Buckeye Recovery Network. However, I happen to be a clinician also. So I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I am a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor. And I'm one of the people that helps manage the Buckeye Recovery Network. You know, I support on many different levels. And this is my ultimate favorite thing in the world to do. Good morning, everybody that's saying good morning. I'm also in the process of recovery myself. I've been clean and sober since June 13th of 2008. So I'm coming up on 13 years. And this is wonderful. So what we're doing here is a talk that we started a little bit ago. And it's I'm bringing in human beings that have been impacted by addictions and recovery. And my purpose, my intention, the desired outcome that I'm trying to achieve is allowing other people that are going through the same process to see what is available and what is accessible in the process of recovery. And some of the journeys are going to be a straight line and beautiful. Some of them are going to be zigzag and all over the place. Some of them are going to be related to parents with their children getting sober. Some of them are going to be related to spouses getting sober. And the one today, it hits near and dear to the heart because it's about a human being that is on the process of getting clean and sober, but also the perspective of his beautiful daughter, Isabella. So let me first tell you about Heath, man. And again, good morning, everyone that's reaching out and saying good morning. I appreciate all the comments already. Let me tell you a little bit about Heath here. So Heath is someone that I've known intimately for the past 6 years of my life. I had the opportunity and the privilege to meet Heath about 6 years ago, a little bit over 6 years ago, when he came as a program participant to our program at the time, which was called Orange County Recovery Services. Some of his, family friends that he calls, pretty much his family were the ones that were clean and sober in this area. And our previous program director recommended for him to come to our program. And when he came in, he was a defeated man. And I mean that by the literal sense of the word. I mean, he was done of the way that he was living. He was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He knew he didn't know what he wanted, but he knew he didn't want what he had, if you will. So I'm going to probably allow Heath to share a little bit more elaborately on that when we get there. But his primary purpose of getting clean and sober, my friends, was not for himself. Because as you know, and you've heard me say, when people get clean and sober, they don't really care about themselves. They're down, they're depressed, they're sad, they're hopeless, they're pissed off, they're full of guilt, they're full of shame. It's oftentimes that they get clean and sober for someone else. And in this case, the primary motivating factor for getting help, getting clean, getting sober, changing his life happened to be his beautiful daughter that got in the Zoom lens right there. There she is, Miss Isabella. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear her speak. And she's just so powerful. And I'll tell you where I got inspired by this. About a month and a half ago, we had this thing called the Celebration of Sobriety. About a month ago, we had this thing called the Celebration of Sobriety. It's something that Heath actually created about, 3 years ago now, Heath?
Yeah.
3 years ago now, he had this vision. And he said, you know what? We do such wonderful work here at Buckeye Recovery Network. We watch lives transform. We need to have a platform to be able to bring everybody back to celebrate various milestones of their sobriety. And one of those milestones happens to be birthdays. So there was a lot of people taking birthdays, and Heath happened to be one of them, taking his 6th year birthday chip. And one of other Heath's visions was to have someone that's impactful in their life to come give them the chip. And Isabella came up there, and she had this letter written. And in that letter, there was some information there that just triggered this idea that I have to bring her, if she's comfortable, to have this conversation, and thankfully she was. So I'm gonna get into it, okay? And you guys ready for that?
Yeah.
You guys ready? Okay. So Isabella, can I start with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good, Isabella. So in your letter, you wrote that 6 years ago, your father took you on a walk and told you that he needed to go get help. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my question to you is, what was it like when your dad went away to get help for his addiction? So tell me what that walk was like for you, and what was it like when you knew your dad had to go get help?
It was very, for me, I was sad because I knew I wouldn't see him. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
And yeah.
And when he was saying he has to go get help, did you know what that means at the time? And by the way, can you tell everybody how old you are?
I'm 12 years old.
Okay, so everybody paying attention here, she's 12 years old. First of all, you're very strong for a 12-year-old. You've persevered through a lot. I'm very proud of you, Isabella. Second of all, when she says 6 years ago, that means she was 6 years old. So for anybody watching this who thinks that alcoholism, addiction doesn't impact somebody who is 6 years old and they don't know what's going on, this is living proof that that is false. So, Isabella, can you please tell us, when you said you had to go and help, what did that mean to you?
That, like, he was gonna go get help with his drinking problems and doing drugs and stuff.
So you knew at the time that you had a drinking problem?
Mm-hmm.
How did you know?
Because, like, whenever I would go with him, he'd always, like, be drinking and stuff. And I never saw him do drugs, but I saw him drink and stuff.
Okay, and you knew that he was drinking too much?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could tell, right? And so the overall feeling that you experienced, Isabella, was a feeling of sadness, safe to say. And you didn't know how long he was going to go for? Was that also true?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't. So there was a lot of fear of the unknown, uncertainty about how long he was going to be gone for, right? Okay, so thank you for that. Heath, what was it like for you to take Isabella, go on that walk with her, and let her know, hey, Daddy has to go get help? Because that's a very powerful moment in someone's life. What was that like for you?
Well, first of all, thank you, Parm, for this opportunity. You know, it is an honor and a privilege to be here right now with her, and you and everybody else. You know, it was. I'll never forget. You know, that day, February 26, 2015 is my sobriety date, and I was at my grandma's, and you know, I had talked to her mom and told her mom that I was going to get help, and I wanted to talk to Isabella, and we walked down the street from my grandma's, and I'll never forget saying, you know, honey, Daddy has to go get some help. Daddy drinks too much, you know, and she said, you know, I'll never forget. She says, it's okay, Daddy. And then, you know, it was very hard. It was like, I mean, because I don't try to show my emotion, you know, in front of her, that manly man thing, whatever you want to call it. I didn't want her to see the weakness, you know, but that was extremely hard for me to hold in and know, because I didn't know how long I was going to be. You know, I thought just for, you know, maybe a couple months or something, and because I had a business, you know, that was going, and I didn't know. There was a lot of uncertainty also for me, you know. But that was one of the hardest moments in my life, to tell her that.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, because the moment that you feel like, hey, I don't want to show my emotions because it's going to make me feel weak, is actually the first time, and probably a long time before that you actually showed your strength by realizing you have to go get help. You know, it's like our brain tells us that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, when vulnerability, even with a 6-year-old daughter, is actually a sign of strength. So that's a big pivoting point. So I do remember you. So I got to meet you after that talk, right? I wasn't there for that talk. I got to meet you after that talk. And and you were going through it. You had some legal challenges. You had some financial challenges. You had some, relationship challenges. You didn't know where you were going to stay. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Heath is from the Inland Empire, the Indio, the Desert Hot Springs, Palm Desert, that whole realm.
Coachella Valley.
Sorry, yeah. Coachella Valley. He was displaced, I guess, in Costa Mesa, coming to treatment, and he didn't know where he was going to stay. He wanted to go back. He was always in that process of going back and forth. So I do remember those days. And Isabella, the question I have for you here is, in the early stages, so when you go back to when you were 6 and 7 years old, how did your dad getting help and getting sober improve your relationship? So not right now, but back then.
I definitely got to see him more.
Okay.
And we got to do more stuff together. And it was just, I felt more safe around him.
Wow, and you that's in the early. So by the way, people, please catch that someone saying when she was 7 years old, 8 years old, as a byproduct of sobriety and recovery, she felt more safe around her father, around her parent. And Heath was actually a really safe parent. He's full of love, but alcoholism unfortunately doesn't provide that feeling and that sense of security. So Isabella was able to feel that. And Isabella, I remember your dad, when he didn't have the nice truck that he has right now and he didn't have his driver's license, he would get on so many buses. What was the bus route, Heath? How would you get from Costa Mesa to where Isabella lived in those early days? Because I remember this. Can you tell people?
The first year that I was out here, I didn't have a driver's license. I had a DUI program that I failed to complete. It only took me 11 years and 352 days to complete an 18-month program. But that first month that I was here, our first year that I was here, I would get the train from Santa Ana to Riverside, the Metro Link, and then I would get the 220 commuter link, which is the Sun Bus that goes out to the desert. And that was like 5.5 hours, maybe 6 sometimes, depending. Obviously, it was worth it, and her mom graciously met me at the bus stop where they would drop me off, and then we'd get back on the bus to the hotel that I would get for us to be at, where we could spend the time together, and then we'd get the bus the night before to go meet with her mom, and that way because I had to get up early to get the bus to take back to Riverside and then take the train back to Santa Ana.
I remember 5.5, 6 hours, people. This is the what was accessible in the gifts of recovery, just to go see Isabella for the weekend. And I remember, man, Isabella, your father used to get so excited for those. He didn't care if it was a 16-hour walk, he would have done it. And it was really beautiful to see from my perspective. So Heath, how did recovery in the early months, and let's just say to the first year, improve your relationship with Isabella, and how did it improve your own personal quality of life?
Well, the relationship with her, I was present, before she mentioned, she would see me drinking all the time. I mean, our mom asked her for 1 year for Father's Day what she wanted to get me, and they happened to be at the grocery store, and Isabella walked her all the way to where the beer was and pointed out the 3-pack tall can Budweisers, and said, "That's what Daddy likes," and that's not I thought it was cool at the time, but that obviously meant that she was paying attention to what was going on, and as far as relationship wise, her and I were I was more present. I was actually enjoying the moment, and it was hard at times to not think about, what was going to happen afterwards or when the next time I may see her. But I was definitely there because, I love her with all my heart. Yes, she was the reason for me getting sober, and then it was after I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. I was done. And She was my motivation, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, the second part of the question.
Oh, how is your so that's with Isabella, but in general, your quality of life in general, how has it improved? So, emotionally, spiritually, financially, work related, all that kind of stuff.
Well, the first year. The first year was rough. I mean, the first year was extremely rough emotionally, and I shut down my business. I didn't have a higher power, or any kind of gods that I have in my life now, because I didn't believe in that. From my growing up, what gave me to the reason to not believe in any of that. Now it's different. Obviously, it's completely different. I came here. I was on probation. There's a child support case going on. Like you mentioned, I didn't have a driver's license. I had, missing teeth, not just in the front, but all over.
Everywhere.
I was, but ultimately, I just was broken. I just inside, I had nothing in me but to do what was asked of me to do or told me to do, because I was, you said it and others said it. I had a gift of desperation. I at the time didn't know what you were talking about. I just said, no, this is not a gift. I feel horrible, but I'll do whatever. And I got a sponsor. I am very grateful. You mentioned, the man that was the program director. For him, recommended me to come there. His son and I are 28 years, 29 years, excuse me. This year we'll be friends, and that's her uncle. So it was like I had a big four, if you will, as far as in my corner, and I just listened to the direction that was given, and working through the steps was very challenging. There were some things that I was able to work with you on that were a little bit on another level as far as the trauma goes, and it was cleaning out a lot of stuff that I absolutely never had processed sober in my life since I was 8, 9 years old, and that was a big deal. Now I can talk about those things, and be able to talk about them and not be an emotional wreck. So,
Yeah, man. It's safe to say that the quality of your life has improved in every single possible category that could be measured, and that's the truth. And by the way, Heath, as someone that came in so broken right now for Buckeye Recovery Network, our entire organization, if you will, he's the kind of the director of all the recreational things we do. So anytime we need to go create relationships with people on the outside, whether it's with museums, whether it's with therapeutic outings, whether it's with volunteer opportunities. Heath is actually the face that we have represent our company to go create the relationships, foster the relationships, be the liaison between us and them. So he's outward facing because he represents what recovery can do to a human being, and we're proud of that representation. So Heath, man, I mean, that 6 years ago, you would not be our person going out there and representing us. And today you are our person representing us. So the next question I have here, Isabella, for you is, so what's it like 6 years now? This is the fun part, right? This is the part you don't have to talk about the sadness. This is the part you don't have to talk about, being worried about your dad going away and not knowing when he comes back. This is the beautiful part, Isabella. So this day, what's it like 6 years later with your dad? What do you guys do and how do you spend your time?
So it's very different. We get to go to the movies. This past year, we obviously couldn't because of the coronavirus. But before that, we went to the movies a lot. And we would watch movies, like at his old apartment. And we eat a lot of popcorn.
That's okay.
And I get to work with him, like help him with stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, it's that's, you know what, Isabella, even if you didn't say one thing, that smile on your face tells me exactly what it's like, the smile on your face and how just excited you are to share about, what you do with your dad. And when she says work with him, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Isabella, when she comes to Buckeye Recovery Network on a weekend or like a week break from school or whatever it is in the summertime, she's in there like at 6 o'clock in the morning and she's grinding, man. She's working with her dad, and it's interesting to see. It's actually pretty phenomenal to watch. And she's got the work ethic of her father. She's also a good artist. I have a few of Isabella's slices of watermelon displayed in my office. I appreciate those gifts you always bring, Isabella. And Heath, what's it like for you 6 years now later? So what do you enjoy the most about your relationship with Isabella and just life in general, but relationship with Isabella? What's changed for you?
Well, I mean, when we walk, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I'm not looking over my shoulder now. Yesterday we walked around the Lake Forest Sports Park. We walked 3 baseball fields, and then the whole complex itself. And it was just nice to just be present, just walk, and when we, when we, I messed around a lot. I do, I haven't messed with their hair, but I messed with their hair and I'm free.
Yeah,
I'm free. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I really am. With, her mom and I have a very good co-parenting, working, relationship with, which rightfully so for on her mom's end. Previous to me getting sober, it was not. It was not, and I credit to getting sober and finding, a higher power and just being present for the moment and understanding that, my part and a lot of the things that I wrecked, and now I get to, have a limited living amends every day with doing that. When what I mean by that is the right thing, and I live with my girlfriend now, and my girlfriend is I'm so blessed in that, to have her where she is accepting of Isabella, and Isabella really likes her. Obviously, that's kind of a deal breaker, and she gets to sleep in a room, with a big bed, and the monkey, the rally monkey from the Angels, and she's that was her first stuffed animal that we got her, it's really hard to describe other than just being free and like I said, blessed and grateful. We can go and do whatever we want. We really can, and I don't have to think about any court stuff. I don't think I have to think about, there's a time limit to when I get to see her. Her mom and I get to discuss that and agree on it, or come to a resolution, towards it, a solution, and it's just beautiful, man. It really is. I mean, I would not be talking as much as I am talking right now. A month after I got sober, even after a year after I got sober, it took me a while, and yeah, I'm free today.
Yeah, man. The words you just used right now, Heath, is the same as the smile that Isabella had on her face. Those words put meaning to the smile, and it's just such a cool thing, man. So, Isabella, I think I'm echoing a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but it's okay. Isabella, what would you tell someone who their father or mother is struggling with addictions?
I would tell them to have hope and faith and yeah.
Hope, can I ask a follow-up question to that? Hope and faith for what though? I want to know what you mean by that, because that's a really beautiful words that you use there. I just want to know what your meaning for that is.
To have hope and faith for them to get sober or to stop doing drugs, and to have them like be in their life more.
Yeah.
Like how my dad is in my life more.
100%, Isabella. That's really well said. And if their mom or dad goes to get help the way that your father went to get help, what would you tell them to do when they're getting help? Is it just kind of continuing to do what they're doing on their own, like doing their school stuff, just having a lot of, hope and faith that everything's going to be okay? Because what were those days like when you didn't know what your dad's doing? Like, how did you get through those days? That's important for people to know.
It was very like I was like it was very different not seeing my dad all the time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see him on the weekends when he was away, and when he was here, I would always see him on the weekends, so it was very different not seeing him all the time.
So is it safe to say that there was some type of a adjustment period? You just have to adjust to those changes.
Yeah.
And then eventually, if you keep your hope and keep your faith, the adjustment kind of got back to normal again.
Yeah.
So it is kind of tough in the beginning, right? That's what you want to tell other people too. I know it's I remember it was challenging for you, Isabella, and it's not like it got good right away. It took a little bit of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I think your words are really going to help a lot of people out. And Heath, what would you tell a parent, so a mom or a dad, who is struggling with addictions and potentially is in the same situation with you, with having a child or children or a family situation? What would you tell them if you had a chance?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Latch on to people that are doing the deal, whether it's in meetings or whatever treatment center you're in, to the ones that are in the action of doing the correct things. Try as hard as possible to have some faith, and also I think probably the most important thing is remember what it is that you started for. Whether it may be the courts, whether it may be for me, Isabella, whether it may be for a spouse, whatever that reasoning is. That was a huge thing that you said to me early on, is remember why you started. And I think that was the hugest motivator. I mean, I didn't have any desire or any cravings to use. I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling it. And I did talk to others that were parents that were, like I said, doing the deal, so to speak, and they had better lives, and they experienced obviously the same thing that I did, as far as not seeing their child or children. And I just was like, how do you do this? I mean, there would be days where I would have to walk out of your group to go to the bathroom, to say I was going to the bathroom, but I couldn't stop the water coming out of my eyes. I just couldn't, and I didn't want anybody else to see that. I just could. I just, because it couldn't stop. It just wouldn't. I was emotionally. I hadn't felt those feelings at all. What real emotion was, and I would have to look at myself in the mirror, and then I would look away because I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. But later on, now I can look at myself in the mirror and I can say, Heath, this is going to be a great day. Continue to do the correct things. And at the time early on, it is rough. it's going to be tough, no matter who it is. If you're fully in it anyway. That's what I believe. If you're fully in it, it's going to be tough. Know that, as cliche as it sounds or whatnot, just for today, we can get through this, and then tomorrow will be another day. But really, whoever that is doing the deal, because there's a lot of people that really, they present a really good deal, but the actions are the ones that I think are proof in the pudding, as far as what's really going on. And those are the ones that they help me. And you obviously, you helped save my life, Palm. You're a mentor to me now. And those four that I mentioned, my sponsor, my best friend and his dad, those, I was extremely lucky to have, in my corner. But if I didn't, I still would have had to focus on those who were doing the deal and just observe and see what they, do what they do. Because I don't know. I was blessed, and I still am today.
Yeah, thank you for that, Heath. There was when he was sharing about some advice that I gave him about anytime you want to quit, remember why you started. And there was time. So Heath's sharing about this journey he had, but in his first 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, first 6 months, there was many times he wanted to quit. And I'm not just saying like quit as in go pick up drugs and alcohol, just quit as in go try something different. Just quit this path that he was on. Just not take the advice of other people, just even entertaining it for a few days to say, you know what, I'm just going to go back home, or I'm just going to go do this. I'm just going to go do that. I'm going to go get this job. Or even if someone was in group and say another group participant was pissing him off and he's like, screw this, I don't want to be here because this guy's pissing me off. That's not the reason why he came out here. Every time he wanted to quit, he had to remember Isabella, remember the pain, the agony, the defeat of addiction, alcoholism, the depression, the suicidal ideation. I mean, there's a lot here we haven't touched and covered on, but those are the reasons why he came into recovery. It wasn't because he wanted to go get a job. He already had a job. It wasn't because he wanted to go live somewhere else or live on his own. He was already doing that. It wasn't because he was trying to get in a relationship. He'd been in many of those before. It wasn't because he was trying to get pissed off at someone in group. People come all the time in various shapes and sizes and they piss us off. It was because he had to keep getting refocused. So thank you for that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave the link up here in the comments. If anybody wants to pop up and physically say anything to them, all you have to do is click on that link. But if not, Isabella, I'm going to take this time to show you, because I remember when I told you that your words today are going to mean something. Okay. I'm going to put some comments up here on the board. And these are people that don't know you. So Debbie here said, this is so inspiring. Inspiring means that it makes us feel a certain way. It motivates us, gives us hope. It inspires us. So thank you for sharing. So see, Isabella, people that don't know you are saying thank you. Jeremy Tangero, which is our CFO, but another fellow in sobriety and recovery, has been doing the walk for a long period of time, said the angry man Heath was truly transformed into one of the most stable, level-headed people I know. And Jeremy's pretty stable and level-headed himself. So for him to see another fellow stable and level-headed person, it says a lot. Jeremy does need to. I'm going to be working with Jeremy here on his Diet Dr. Pepper world. He drinks a little bit too many of those, but he's already well aware of that. Here's someone you don't know, Isabella. It says, Isabella, you are beautiful inside and out. I want you to really catch what she just said right there. You deserve all of the happiness in the world. You have a beautiful smile like your dad. See, Isabella, someone you don't even know that's in another part of the world just wrote that to you. And noticed your beauty that was not just external, because your smile and your dimples and all that kind of stuff looks really good, but it's also the internal world of a human being, which could be just as beautiful, and you have that. Someone said, so happy for you and your daughter. Highly respect the hard work you've done and your commitment to your sobriety and your family. So Heath, this one's actually for you. Cheryl, someone that's been following us from a different part of the country, understands and respects the hard work that goes into this moment. And by the way, I want everyone to know that this moment right here that you're watching, this moment that we're capturing all together, is not an easy moment to create. Like, this moment in the lives of many people who struggle with addictions sometimes never happens. So for us to go to where they were at 6 years ago to where they are at right now, you best believe that there's been some sacrifice. You best believe that there's been some commitment. And by the way, commitment, we define it as doing what you know you need to do, even when you don't want to do it. That's a part of discipline. Commitment also means the willingness and motivation to continue taking actions despite of the initial enthusiasm going away. So anybody can do something in the beginning. 30, 60, 90 days of anything is easy. But can you stay motivated after that? That's commitment, right? So someone here said, great commitment and persistency in recovery and transformation. Very proud of you, Heath, and your beautiful daughter, Isabella. So, by the way, Jose and John, Heath is someone that on a day-to-day basis interacts with each and every single person in our housing community, the role model there for everyone and all of our program participants. My mom, Faye Nemat, said, Isabella is an angel. You like that, Isabella? Mama Faye popped in and said something about you. You know, Jerry, which we all know, Julian, he just loves you guys. Jim, which is a counselor here at Buckeye, he said the gifts of recovery are the best. And by the way, this is a gift of recovery. Some people say, hey, what do you get out of the recovery process? This right here, which is priceless. Kitty, Miss Kitty popped in. I haven't seen a comment from her. She said, so much love for this. This is beautiful. Isabella, you know Kitty too, right? Yeah, that's really
no hesitation. She remembers.
Yeah, she remembers. Jeff Love, I think. Is this someone you know?
Yeah, Jeff. Wow. The first, when we moved out here from Oklahoma, him and his family are the first friends that I got out here, and I've known him since I was 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, he said he wanted to make sure that you and Isabella both know that he loves you. You got some shout outs here. Heath, you're a freaking legend. Legend is a good thing to be. Anthony wanted to shout you out, Isabella. Called you a spiritual gangster.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You know, there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, there's a lot of comments, guys. Obviously, I can't go through all these. Anita, thank you, Heath, for never giving up. I know. That's a really good shout out. Anita, thank you. I mean, I don't know you, but I've had the opportunity to work with Heath for all these years, and it's thank you too. Also, Anita, I want you to know that it's a 50% of that human being right there, and who she is and stuff like that, and the character she has attributed to you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, at least. Some other people here saying that you're an inspiration. You know, I want you to see that. Isabella, another person saying you're inspiration. Oh, your mom said love you too. I just missed that one. And that's a really cool thing there. You know, good job, Isabella. You killed it, Isabella. One day you might become a TV personality. You're doing good today.
Thank you.
Iron said, so beautiful. I don't know you, but so proud of what you've worked on, and trust the relationship we see here. Isabella, you're a strong lady. So as you can see, in this 38 minutes, Isabella, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, it feels good. You were able to see what's possible by you just sharing your truth. You didn't have to make up anything. You didn't have to create any stories. You didn't have to. You just got to be yourself. And everybody not only loved and respected who you are, they understand what it takes to get here. So Felicia said something too. You know, she was thankful. Felicia's one of our really good counselors that I know knows you and that kind of stuff. So this is why I do this every week, guys. This is why I do it. So I'm just going to give a little summary of this. You guys can stay here and just watch Heath. It's totally cool. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we saw here. So for everybody watching this or tuning in right now, if you're just tuning in, feel free to rewind this one and watch it from the beginning, because this is one of the rare times that in family recovery, you get to experience what it is like for the perspective of a child. So Isabella, you know, being the strong 12-year-old that she is, her father is 6 years clean and sober. So when you rewind the tape from 12, you minus 6 from 12, that creates 6. I'm really good at math there, right, Isabella? 12 minus 6 equals 6. There's some hope for me in my math skills. However, at the age of 6, she knew that something was wrong. Now, she had her dad. She would see her dad. They had a relationship. But she knew that the way he would drink was off. It was wrong. It would change the way he talks. It would change the way he acted. It would make her not feel safe in situations. And Heath would, you know, he came and said all those things were true. And she knew something's wrong. And some people think like, oh, they're just kids. They don't know what's really going on. I'm an adult. I can hide it. They're already worrying about their own stuff. They don't know what's going on in my life. All that stuff is categorically false. Remember, I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy with an emphasis in child development. Human development across the lifespan doesn't just start when people are older. It happens in a moment-by-moment interaction with the environment. Yes, it happens when someone is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. So this, you saw as soon as we opened this up, there was emotion experienced by Isabella because she rewinded the tape back to those days, and there was pain there. And however, today, later on, when she got present to the here and now, there was so much joy and laughter. So you can have both emotions, by the way. People think you can either be sad or you can be happy. But I'm telling you that you can be sad and you can be happy. We don't live in a pure black and white world when it comes to emotions. We can experience multiple emotions, and that's okay. So the beauty of this talk was you had to see how the recovery process played out in the eyes of someone who was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. In the beginning, there was a lot of fear. Where is my dad going? Is he going to be okay? I mean, that's a pretty loaded word. Hey, daughter, I got to go and get some help because I drink too much. What does that mean to a 6-year-old? Trust me, she doesn't know. She just knows she needs her dad to get well. She needs her dad to be present. She needs her dad to be able to show up and make her feel safe. All those kind of things that the gifts of recovery have done for her father. So at the age of 6 and 7, Isabella said, hey, my life had changed. I wasn't able to see my dad the way I normally saw him. I wasn't able to talk to him the way we normally talk. I mean, even though they talked on the phone a lot, but still it was different. She was in fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown. She had to get used to the new way of interacting with him, which was waiting for him to take a 6-hour journey on an hour-and-a-half ride to get there. And then they were able to watch some movies, stay in a little hotel, have some dinners. It was just a different experience for her. But then she started to see and feel changes in her life. She started to say, hey, when I hang out with my dad, he's more present. When I hang out with my dad, he's doing his corny jokes more often. Sorry, Heath, I have to make fun of your corny jokes. Yeah. When I hang out with my dad, he's giving me little gifts and stuff like that I know he's thinking about me. When I'm going to visit my dad, he's introducing me to all of these new people that seem like they're all doing healthy. When I go see my dad, all these people are excited to see me and they don't even know me. So I'm sure these people are good people. When I see my dad, he's actually at this job, at this workplace that they hired him, that he's a part of the family. He's been there for a while. Everybody seems to like him. And as this tape continues to move forward, it's like, okay, it looks like my dad's doing better. So him going away to getting help was actually something really, really good now that I can look back on and say, thank God he did that. And then the dad starts to achieve more things, starts to get a better job, starts to get his own apartment, starts to get his driver's license back, starts to get a vehicle. And now it's like my dad's coming to pick me up and he's got this new car and we get to do whatever we want to do, And then the dad gets in a relationship and the dad's relationship with her mother, Anita, it strengthens, it improves. There's trust there. There's respect there. There's healthy conversation. There's communication. And Isabella's just looking, saying, hey, this feels really good. They're not yelling at each other. They're not mad at each other. She's trusting him. I'm trusting her. This environment of trust gets created. And we're only halfway through the journey. And as this continues to move forward, dad's looking healthier. He's feeling healthier. His smile's radiating. She's doing the same. She's doing well in school. She's happy. She feels safe. They're interacting more. They're spending more time together. And fast forward till we get to this point right here, my friends. And now she's sitting here just glowing, just lighting up the screen. She's so happy. However, from getting to where she was at to where we are at right now, there is a process. And if you're watching this, anybody watching this, if you have children, just know that your addiction, by the way, 6 years old, this is even sooner than that. It's impacting them. However, at the age of 2, 3, 4, Isabella didn't have the words or the cognitive understanding to realize what getting help means, but it's still impacting them. Because if you're a 2 or 3 or 4-year-old in a room and mom and dad are yelling and screaming or dad's not around or this and that, there is a feeling that happens inside the gut. And that feeling is real. However, the kids don't have the words to articulate that feeling. At 6 years old, she had the vocabulary to do so. Just know that if you have children, whether they're younger than Isabella was at then, or they're Isabella's current age, or they're a little bit older, addiction impacts them emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. However, the same way addiction impacts them, so does the recovery process. It improves all of those areas emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. So as a person watching this, if you're struggling with addictions, listen to this story, watch this story. There's truth inside of it. If you need to learn more about his story, I'm sure you could reach out to him and he'll tell you about the details of his addiction and alcoholism and what it really looked like in terms of the work that he did to get here. And there's just so the main reason for this one, and please, if you know anyone that has a loved one that's struggling with alcoholism addiction and they have children, please forward this one to them. This is very important for people to see because there's this thing that they say addicts and alcoholics are such selfish people and they only care about themselves. And I promise you, there's not truth to that. They're just so full of guilt and shame that they're unable to see beyond themselves. However, when you allow the recovery process to take place, the selfishness goes away and they become really selfless people. They become really compassionate people. They have a lot of empathy because they understand pain. So please forward this to anyone. And make sure that other people are able to experience what we experience here today, which is the beautiful gifts of recovery. So that's all I had for today. This was wonderful. Thank you guys both for allowing me to use your truth and your story for something like this, and this is always going to be available on our YouTube page and our Facebook page for anybody that wants to see it. The link is always shareable. And yeah, a lot of people still saying you guys are an inspiration and thanking you guys for who you are. And it means a lot, so thank you for your time, Isabella. I look forward to seeing you around the halls of Buckeye. Heath, likewise, thank you for your time and everything you do for us on a 7-day-a-week basis. And I will see you guys both on the flip side, and everybody else watching, thank you for your time. Love and appreciate all of you. Until next week, okay? Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.